Hi everyone, how are you? Thank you for being the first audience for our films. It's great to have you all here. My name is Tom Quinn. I'm the writer and director of Colewell.
And I'm Marianne Fernsler, producer of Colewell. Both Tom and I are from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This is actually a vintage map of the state of Pennsylvania, and this is our inspiration for the film. I had bought this map for my husband because it showed the towns where we both grew up. And one day, Tom is over our house, he sees this map, and my husband points out the fact that his childhood town is no longer required to be on modern maps because there's no longer a post office there. So that got us thinking. It started the conversation of, well, what happens to a town that's about to lose its identity? What happens to the community that is about to lose something so vital to them? So we went to these towns and we talked with former postmasters and the communities that they were in, and we used what we've learned to create the fictional town of Colewell and its postmaster, Nora.
So Nora is a 63-year-old widow, but she wakes up every day energized and feeling very youthful because she has a clear sense of purpose. And if we could see the next slide, for 25 years, Nora has rented out a room in her house to the United States Postal Service, and it's been the town post office. And so this is actually one of the post offices near Marianne and I. You can see on the bottom right, that's the post office, and the rest of the house is living quarters. And so Nora lives and works in the same space. If we see the next slide, so this is a picture of the interior, and this is very much a community post office. And so Colewell is a kind of working class, rural, post-industrial town. They have a rock quarry, but they don't have many other businesses. There aren't a lot of opportunities there, but this is the space where that town becomes a community. And as the postmaster, Nora knows things about people that nobody else knows. She knows who's getting extra medical bills, who got a birthday card from their son or their daughter, who can't afford the extra shipping rates to get it there the next day. They have to get there in a week. And that gives her this real sense of connectedness, and even though she lives alone, she's part of this bigger family here. All of that gets thrown into flux for Nora when she gets a notice that her post office will be shut down in 30 days, and the town of Colewell will actually be consolidated with the town next door. And so this throws everything into flux. And for Nora, she now has to weigh staying here in a place that does not have a lot of opportunities, but very deep ties, or moving elsewhere and trying to start over.
You know, Tom and I aren't facing an early retirement anytime soon, but we feel like we can identify a lot with this concept. I mean, we live in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It's not New York. It's not LA. And even though those may be places where we could have more profitable careers, we both made conscious decisions to live where we live because of a certain quality of life that we want. And now in terms of production, we want to involve the local communities around us. We want to cast real townspeople in the film to act as the community there, just to pull from them their real experiences. But for the lead role of Nora, we will be casting a professional actress.
If you could see the next slide. You could probably picture the version of this film where Nora bands everybody together and they fight the Postal Service and they save the post office. This isn't that film. This film is really about, focused through Nora's eyes as her routines and her rituals and these little details of her day fall apart. And the reason is that for me, this film is about something I think more personal, in that from the time I was very young, I always resisted change. I think it's somewhere where we become aware of death for the first time, and those things get kind of linked somehow. I don't know if you know that feeling. But when I was young, I didn't want my parents to change the furniture in my room. I didn't want them to paint the walls or sell their car, and it took me much too long to move out of their house because I somehow connected these things that each step forward was a step towards losing people and losing the places that I love. And that's what Nora's going through now. I think she's had all these things that have filled her day, and they're going away. And she's facing all of this fear for the first time in a while. And I think we go through that at different stages. We have the midlife crisis that we know, the quarter life crisis people talk about when you get out of school and everything's new and scary again. And this is sort of her three-quarter life crisis. She's built meaning, she's in a safe place, and now she's losing it. And I think that's the part of the story that connects to everybody. And it's universal, and that through her eyes, it's not a sad thing. I don't think any of our lives are sad. We're facing that, we're making choices, and we're taking the next steps to kind of find the next piece of meaning for ourselves. And so we're really excited to get started. We can't wait to share it, and thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very nice. Yes, Giacomo.
In terms of tonality and, let's say, also genre, how would you refer to your film? How would you define it?
We've been seeing it as a kind of portrait, both of Nora and also this town, and that they're both on the edge of feeling like they're vanishing, right? And they're connected together visually in the way they sort of interact. And I think it's a very quiet, portrait film, but she does have this clear choice to make. Am I going to move elsewhere? Am I going to sort of step outside my comfort zone? Or am I going to stay here and find what's meaningful for me here? So that's the tone.
Yes, Emmy.
We've gotten to see a little bit of your photographic vision, and you said you've already been doing a little bit of research. In terms of director of photography or photographic vision, have you begun to think about who your cinematographer or your team might be to kind of create this fictional world?
Sure. We've reached out to Ben Kozolki, who had shot Guy Madden's films, his last 2 films. He shot Lynn Sheldon's films. And he's on board. He's very excited about the project. And what I love about Ben is that regardless of the budget that he's worked for $50,000 films and $2 million films, and they're all gorgeous, and they all fit the look of that project. Some have 11 days to shoot or 15 days to shoot, and some have much more time, but they're always beautiful. And that's, for us, it was like the first thing we wanted to bring on board.
Great. Any other questions? Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank
Looking
you.
forward to meeting Nora.